When Christopher Stone wrote his book, I had to ask the same question to myself. 2 years ago almost, when the fires raged, it set ablaze the fields where cows once roamed and grazed. 8 years ago almost, when she made this home crumpled, her north winds assembled, our people one by one dismembered. It was Holocaust. The cost was life, but the host was a ghost that whispered through the wind and the night. We were there, right? It was a decade almost. A decade it is that a new breed set aside greed. It is a decade that we have been freed from the need to slash our greens and burn our reeds. Today, we bleed of wisdom. The kingdom we strive to build one, from ashes to rubbles to a green dome. We braved ignorance where corruption once lived. Art and lush, the second renaissance we achieved. Slowly, no rush, we educate the aggrieved. We dive into this great blue unknown to meet. The past is gone and the future is, but now it's not bleak. Now a piece of me I put in this. I say my art for a moment of him and hope and bliss. But this time tick-tocks in time breaths. But now I am not alone for the legal question of Christopher Stone. Should trees have standing? Bore a yes when we all stood up for this live mass of dirt ball named home.
Good evening, everyone. I am Rosel Angela Songano, your Miss Philippines Earth Iloilo City. According to the World Health Organization, everyone has an important role to play in stopping COVID-19, as individuals, as communities, as governments, and even as private companies. As individuals, we can all protect ourselves and others by washing our hands, by avoiding touching our faces, by physically distancing, by isolating ourselves when we're sick, and by practicing good respiratory etiquette, like covering our nose and mouth when coughing or sneezing, or by wearing a face mask and face shield in public areas. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Thank you so much. Communities must be empowered to ensure service and aids are planned and adapted based on their feedback and local context. Critical functions, such as community education, protection for vulnerable groups, support to health workers, contact tracing, and cooperation with physical distancing. Measures that can only happen with the support of every part of affected communities. Next slide, please. Governments must lead, enable, and empower all individuals and communities to own the response through communication, education, engagement, capacity building, and support. At the same time, governments must give the health system the support it needs to treat patients with COVID-19 effectively and maintain other essential health and social services for all. Governments may have to implement physical distancing measures and movement restrictions proportionate to the health risks faced by the community. And last slide, please. Private companies. Lastly, private companies must ensure the continuity of essential services, such as the food chain, public utilities, and the manufacture of medical supplies. Private companies can provide expertise and innovation to widen and sustain the response, most notably through the production and distribution of personal protective equipment, ventilators, medical oxygen, and other essential medical equipment, all at a fair price. Remember, the solutions can be as easy as washing, covering, and distancing. Do it for yourself and for your loved ones.
Iloilo City, Rosel Angela Songano. Rosel tries to get enough sleep. She also includes fruits and vegetables into her diet to keep her skin glowing and healthy. She does things that make her happy because she believes that what you feel on the inside visibly shows itself on the outside. For her, beauty is being your own person. Yes, society has standards for the definition that? Standards. And standards are always changing.
Iloilo City, Roselle Angela Songano. Being conscious about what she eats and drinks is her first step to being physically healthy. Aside from this, she exercises regularly and takes part in recreational activities to keep herself sane. Because health does not solely refer to physical aspect, she immersed herself into the world of art. It was through the arts that she was able to effectively express herself. This made her realize the healing power of
Maayong hapon sa tanan. I am Roselle. I'm from the City of Love, Iloilo City. In my 18 years of existence, the one thing that I dislike amongst many is negligence. And I have to admit, I used to have this trait with me. And I say this because environmental issues is transpiring today, and yet I did not act upon them. However, with the factors surrounding me and the initiatives of my fellow Ilongos and the activities that I was a part of with my little theater, I have turned this negligence into consciousness. And this leads me to my advocacy entitled HEART, Home, Earth, Art. It is focused on promoting awareness, appreciation, and ways to preserve the environment. And how can we do this? We can do this through environmental education through the arts, may it be through theater, visual arts, visual storytelling, etc. These are all avenues for us to entertain as we educate. And take it from me, it is never impossible to entertain and to educate while turning our negligence into consciousness all at the same time. Thank you. Maayong hapon, Miss Marites.
So my question is, you were saying that you got into arts early when you were 8 years old. So can you give me a specific project where you can actually use your arts to promote, care for the environment, and something specific? How would you do that? In visuals or?
Alright, so before the pandemic, we staged plays centered on the environment. One example was Basura Busters. So this was a story about 3 kids who fought against Bayot Basura, who was a embodiment of our greed and selfishness. But the lesson on that was not the kids as heroes, but the whole community who came together to pick up the trash. And currently, we have social media as our platform since theater is not able to perform since we are in the middle of a pandemic. So what I did to also reach to remote areas was to make a storybook. And I have it with me here right now. And this is what I use to educate my communities.
Can you show me that storybook?
Yes. So this is a storybook I made and wrote, illustrated, together with the kids in Kalumpang, in Kalakunan, and in Cabatuan.
Wonderful. Thank you. Kudos to you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Marites.
Do you have any other judges who'd like to ask Miss Iloilo City a question?
Hello, Iloilo. This is Mark.
Hello, Sir Mark.
Hello. So, I love that you are using arts to empower and educate people. So, I probably would like to ask, let's say you were given an opportunity to have an art exhibit. What would be the theme of that art exhibit and why?
Alright, so the theme of that art exhibit would have to be the environment, since that's what I'm advocating for today and hopefully, of course, until my remaining days. So, I have this quotation or this theme I called "To do things with art by heart for the earth." And I hope to create a performance because that's what I'm actually planning for the future. That's based on the indigenous people that I have the heart for. So I exchange stories with them, and that in itself is a creative output.
Just to follow up on that, because you mentioned about the indigenous people, you share stories with them. What lessons have you learned from them, and probably relating to empowering our environment? What important stories and lessons, life lessons have you learned?
Yes, so I talked to their tribe leader, Nanay Lutz, and I was really inspired. She told me that what kept them alive was their art, and that's what she really said to me. So it's something that I have to take with me and to take into heart and into mind, because art is really what keeps us alive. Because the earth in itself is also art.
Wow, I like that. Earth in itself is art. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sir Mark.
Iloilo City, Rosel, Angela, Songano. This cultural attire is heavily influenced by Suplan Malayon, the goddess's home, hearth, families, and happiness. She is referred to as a protecting sister and is depicted as a beautiful lady accompanied by birds that serve as her messengers. Suplan Malayon is a goddess, a guardian, and a woman